world and what I had as an option.
Yes.
Suddenly, when 10 years later, I had different options.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, I could have never foreseen that I could do this or could do that. And then I should not do these other things for good reason. So, yeah, we
yes.
need to know ourselves. So, another thing, I know you're ready to ask a question. I just want to.
I got lots of questions. Go ahead. Yeah.
So yeah, we start by writing down our needs and our wants. Like you say, they will change. So we have to revisit those.
Right.
And in the book, I don't know if you got to that point, but I actually set out like a time frame to reevaluate. And it's with every relationship. Okay, I get a new job. Well, I'm assuming I know what the job is. Well, within the first week or 6 weeks, I need to stop and reevaluate. Is this job meeting my needs and my wants? Is it what I expected? There again, expectations.
Yes.
Now, if it is, then I feel good. Then I can double the time frame. Okay, then 6 weeks later, about 12 weeks, and I keep doubling the time because, at the 3-year mark, I should have answered a lot of the questions, but you never stop.
Yeah.
You will always be asking, are my needs being met? Are my wants being met? Are my expectations, being met? And again, the other person, company, whatever it is, how do they fit into this? It's like pieces of a puzzle. We all fit together.
Yeah. And I think also communicating about that too. I mean, that's the biggest thing I learned is like finding my voice. Once I figured out what I wanted, being able to use my voice and actually voice what I needed and what I wanted. And that obviously it's life changing, but until you experience it, it's like you don't understand how that not doing that was like holding you back.
100%. And that's why, so I've read, some of the stuff that you've written, and I appreciate what you're talking about, because at least on that we agree. You're very empowering. You talk about how words have power, and they form, or your attitudes form your words, and vice versa. Yeah. It's actually a feedback loop. It's a circle. It's not one or the other. But it's 100%. So there again. So I'm anti-conventional wisdom.
Yeah. Which I want to get into that too, because. So let's go to that now, because I've got, we'll just go wherever we go today, because there's so many things to talk about with this. But okay, maybe let's start out by talking about what conventional wisdom is. Like maybe give some examples of that. And because I know everybody will know what it is when they hear it, but then also, okay, let's start there. What is conventional wisdom? And
there's some awesome ones that I have right now, because they're so common, so popular, opposites attract.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Right.
So you're telling me the pro-life and the pro-choice person are the ones who need to get together.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's not going to work out for you.
Right. Right.
So this is one of those situations where, and that's like a conventional wisdom that people throw around all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to explain it to them that, and I'll use, again, my stories are all my own. These are real life. It's not like hyperbole or anything, but so my mother was Catholic and my father was Jewish. Well, there you see, Jerry, opposites attract. No, they didn't care about how you worshiped God. They cared that you worshiped God, and that was enough for them.
Mm-hmm.
And the opposite to them would have been someone who did not believe in God. That's the opposite. So your idea, there again, you're projecting, we're going back to how you have your view, and you are saying what is going on in your mind. And so you're projecting your what onto my parents, not asking them why or how. Oh, well, the why and the how is because, we're good. That's not opposite.
Right.
Opposites do not attract. And what people imagine are opposite is just them not understanding those people. Those people complement each other in some way.
And sometimes I found in my own life when I've tried to apply conventional wisdom, like it felt like almost an excuse or something like opposites attract. Let's say I was having a problem in the relationship because we disagreed with something, whatever. Oh, opposites attract. Oh, well, okay, then maybe it'll get better. Or I guess this is what it means when you know what I mean? You make up all these stories around that too. And I think it keeps you stuck in something that maybe isn't exactly right because of that type of
100%. Like you just said, you hit the nail on the head. if I'm going to accept that opposites attract, then I'm never going to do anything to change my situation or
Right.
try to understand my situation. I'm going to chalk it up to we're opposites. Well, then in heterosexual relationships, you're actually believing that men and women are different. And I'm going to challenge that statement. It doesn't make sense because it's too generic. I'm different than the guy next door.
Yeah.
You're different
Yeah.
than any woman you walk up to.
Yeah.
So we as individuals are different, but when we take a step back, we're human beings.
Right.
There is no emotion that any woman can have that a man cannot possibly have. You go through all the emotions, anger, sad, whatever. So we're much more alike in that regard than we're
Right.
different.
Right.
But if you chalk it up to opposites attract, then you're going to look at that and you're going to say, well, yeah, I'm drawn to someone I hate. I like this woman, but I can't stand her because she's my
opposites
opposite.
attract. And
Exactly. And she likes everything I don't like. And like I said, so then I'm going to like get out there and go, okay, so if you're pro-choice, I need to be looking for someone who's pro-life.
Right.
I'm going to be going into situations that are going to be really uncomfortable. I don't see how I'm ever going to be happy in that opposite situation, but I have to accept it because, hey, opposites attract.
Right. Because they tell me, and it's like, who's they? Anyway, this, like you're saying, the conventional wisdom, some of this that's been around for, and I know you talk about in the book about how, like, what romantic love was actually defined as like, early on, and how these stories carry on, this like folklore carries on throughout the years. And just like we touched on at the beginning, the people telling these stories are the people who are projecting based on their own situation. They're fantasizing about how they want something to be, actually most likely not having it in their own lives. And then projecting this out as if this is factual truth, and this is the manual for all humans to follow if you want to be in a healthy relationship. And again, what I loved about the app, the book, is that you're showing people, I think it's in when I read it too, I was like, I already knew this, I just had never verbalized it. Like you wrote it in a way that helped me to be like, yeah, like I already, like I knew, like I said, I felt like I knew it. Right. Yes. But it took somebody to tell me, to be like, what am I doing listening to this crap? And that's what it is most of the time.
Right. So here's another one. And here's a big one. This will shock people. I was talking to a guy and I said, actually, every person I've told this to has been really annoyed by me making this comment. They get defensive. They're like, what? No.
I love this kind of comment.
I had a guy who really got upset with me about this. So relationships are about compromise. No, let me explain. And I can explain it again in very simple terms that you're just going to be like, yeah, no, duh.
Yeah.
So here you're using a word, you don't even know what that word means.
Yeah.
Okay. Because again, I'm analytical, so that means I'm very practical. So I look at things and go, okay, compromise. I can define compromise 4 different unique ways. Let's go. So A, compromise is you want Chinese food, I want Italian food. A, we get Chinese for you today, and the next time we go out, I get Italian. Okay, who's keeping score?
Right.
What happens if next time we go out, I didn't want Italian? Now I've lost my Italian. There's no win in that compromise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. B, compromise is you go to the Italian restaurant, we get takeout, and I go to you go to Chinese food, get takeout, I go to Italian, get takeout, and we eat at home. And then you start to wonder, well, is that a good compromise? Because I wanted the ambiance. I wanted the whole experience. It's more than just, if it's just the taste of the food in my mouth, that's minimal. That's not the whole experience. And so is that a good compromise? Are we always then eating dinner at home because we can never agree to do anything together, right?
Yeah, we never want to.
What do we do? I mean, let's not go on vacation because we can't decide on where to go together. We're just going to sit at home and do nothing and pretend like we're doing something. Okay. C, and get ready. This one is grotesque. It's the mixture. okay, you get your Chinese food, I get Italian food, we dump it all together and we have chicken chow, meatballs, and spaghetti because that's the mix of the compromise. You get
Right.
some, I get some, we mix it together. I'm sorry, but that is so
No,
grotesque and
no,
disgusting.
absolutely
I
not.
don't want to touch that, right?
No.
And D, neither of us gets what we want. You don't get Chinese, I don't get Italian, and screw it. Maybe we go hungry tonight. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just laid out 4 things that are all compromise.
Right.
And you're going to say a relationship is compromise. You're going to say, I want Chinese food. We need to compromise. I'm not going to know which of the 4 you want at this outing. You don't know which of the 4 I might be trying to lean towards. And you do know that it's going to change every time, because it's not like you're going to say compromise to me is always
Right.
where we do X.
Right.
No, this time it's A, but the other time it might be D. And so this whole idea of compromise is absurd. Okay, so now I've told you again, I told you 2 + 2 does not equal 16. I've not helped you except to tell you what it's not.
Right.
Now I need to tell you what it is. And this is what I can tell you. Relationships are about collaboration. Collaboration means working together.
Yeah.
Okay, Jerry, you just put another word in there. What does that mean? Let me literally tell you what it means. You change your perspective and change your focus. You're focused on eating a meal, which we just said takes about 15 minutes and is nothing more than the taste on your tongue. It's a palate. Why are we eating together? Why are we in this relationship together? Our focus is to spend time together in a good atmosphere, in a good setting, and enjoy each other's company. So can we stop focusing on Chinese versus Italian and having then to do this false compromise that some lawyer, some negotiator is telling you is the way to hand, and look, legal is actually adversarial. I don't know about you. I don't want to be in an adversarial relationship.
Right.
I don't want to have to beat you to death to come up with what's going to be good. And I don't want this win-lose situation where it's going to become resentful. You're going to think, oh, Jerry played me. He really wanted Chinese food, but he pretended to want Italian food just to screw me over on this one. So next time he's going to get his way. It's resentful because you start to question, did I give in too much? Am I always the one giving in? How much am I winning? How much am I losing? How much is the other person winning and losing? It is the worst thing to tell people. And look, you can go on any website anywhere and you will find relationships are compromised.
I know. It's that language and that conventional wisdom, DUMB, as I love how you put it in the book. For years, I ran a personal finance website, and this is a little off topic, but it's the same thing. The money advice was the same. It was the same thing, like eat beans and rice and live in your parents' basement. No, I'm not going to do that. That's not going to be my existence as my time on this planet. Right. And so it's the same thing when we're talking about this with this wisdom in relationships, and this, even the words relationships are a compromise versus what you said, the other side of that, relationships are a collaboration. When you said that relationships are a collaboration, I could feel like a relaxing in my body, because that feels good. That feels natural. That puts both of us together, instead of, like you said, there's this thing going, story again, as we go back to stories going on in the back of your mind about what's the motives here? Why is this person doing this? Or in some days, maybe you have a stronger opinion about it than others based on what other things had led up to that, right? There's all these varying factors, but these things we're told. And I think this is especially as kids. I was thinking about this the other day, when I was growing up, there were these teenage magazines, right? And I mean, there's still obviously magazines today, but back then that's how we got our information, because we didn't have the internet back then. And so we're reading these stories as teenagers, as young kids about, so-and-so famous person is in this relationship, and here's what they do, and here's what, and so we're assigning meaning to all this. And we think this is how it's supposed to go. So we get in our newly formed junior high relationships, and, these things aren't what we think they are. And so then we're set up for failure in that way, because we're of the definitions of the advice, the approach, everything you said.
So there again, 100%. So when we were talking about how the person who fails is the person who goes out in search of the answer, And
Yeah.
then what do? You ask the people who seem to have this wonderful relationship. Like I said, one of the guys who got upset with me, he's been married 40 years. And he was, going on about relationships compromise. I said, no, they're not. And oh, yeah, he was not happy with me.